Hey, it's Mazzy. Welcome back to the channel. This is a news breaking story, but it's about coffee. Now, I am a coffee freak. Those of you who watch me know that. I am into just espresso, Grafeo espresso from San Francisco. Came from Italy in the 1930s, opened in North Beach. I love those beans. I don't always get them. I get them maybe 4 times a year. They're not cheap, but it's that dark roast. Now, some of the new hipster people, like the Blue Bottles of the world and those, think that dark roast, oily roast, yes, less caffeine maybe, but I love that stuff, especially their dark light blend. But this is a video I decided to do because of breaking news, because of Starbucks. And I know people have a love-hate relationship to Starbucks. And I want to talk a little about my history of that too. Being in Seattle, obviously, is the world headquarters of Starbucks. It kind of started here. I'm a fan of Peet's Coffee out of Berkeley, and there was a connection way back from Peet's. To me, Pete is a better roast than Starbucks, the basic stuff. But I got to tell you, Starbucks does have a reserve roast. Not all Starbucks are equal. But let me go back in time, because in the 1970s, my buddy Dave and I think it was in 1976, we went to see Paul McCartney and Wings in Los Angeles. And you go on the Sunset Strip, you go to all those like Italian outdoor cafes that lying along the strip, sort of across the street, down a ways from where Tower Records was. And you'd order like a cappuccino or a latte. You know what they'd serve you? One of those glass things with whipped cream, with a cinnamon stick. That what they call a cappuccino. There was no standardization of a good cappuccino, a good latte. Maybe you'd get espresso here and there or macchiato, but they didn't know that. North Beach, yes. Uh, Greenwich Village in New York City, the Italian areas, you'd get a good espresso and good coffee in San Francisco. I'm not talking about the people that like, the pot of unlimited coffee where you go to a diner and get some light swirl coffee. And people like that stuff, all the power to them. But you couldn't go across America, even in Los Angeles, you couldn't get a good espresso or a good cappuccino, or they put so much foam on it, it becomes like a tropical drink. You should never have cinnamon. They used to pour cinnamon on top of a cappuccino. No, even chocolate. No, put that stuff on yourself if you want it. But no, 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 I'm sorry. But it was announced today that Starbucks is laying off 900 people. Now, I know, people love to hate Starbucks, but they laying off 900 people, I guess worldwide, or I don't know how far. But the thing that pisses me off, that's I'm upset about, they're closing down. They're two signature stores. They're flagship great cafes. One that looks like the Willy Wonka chocolate factory, almost like an Apple store equivalent of a Starbucks on Capitol Hill with these just beautiful vats, or not vats, what do they call the roastery things? And it's a beautiful store, very mid-century furniture. It's a tourist trap in a way, but it's a great store. There's the bakery, the bar, and at the headquarters in Soto, just down the block from Silver Platter Record Stores, are closing that one in their main store. Now, I'm sorry, Starbucks, you got to cut costs. I get people don't want to spend $6 or $5 or $8 for a fucking coffee drink anymore, and this is across the board in terms of the economy. Okay, I get that, but this is a signature store. It looks bad when you're closing these down. That beautiful mid-century design store you have at your world headquarters on First Avenue is fucked up that you're closing it. I can't believe that. And despite that, on Record Store Day, twice a year, where we meet at Silver Platters, after we go and have a nice little breakfastly coffee and side bakery thing at that place, and we present our records. Now, selfish maybe, but apparently also what's fucked up, the employees at these roasteries today were not notified up front from the company, by the company. They had to see it in the press, the Seattle press, the Seattle Times, the Como News. Well, fuck Como. They're not broadcasting Kimmel, so fuck them anyway. But that's where people found out about it. So there was some kind of conference call with the employees separately. Fucked up. But again, I'm not defending Starbucks at all, but they do have a roastery bean, other beans. But the thing the point I'm trying to get, back in the 1970s when I went to even LA, you go around the country, you could not get a good espresso drink. And Starbucks, to their credit, normalized it. You could go anywhere in the world now, an airport, a roadside, off a highway, and get a Starbucks. Now, maybe some of those bean grinds aren't great, but at least you could get a macchiato, an espresso, a doppia, um, a cappuccino, a latte. You can get it. Now, the whole thing they do with grande, all the names are really ridiculous. Just do it small or large. And a grande is not even a large, right? There's like, what isn't there, a super grande or a venti or whatever that shit they do? That's bullshit stuff. Now, Pete's didn't grow as fast. Now, Pete's to me is a better roast. Their basic roast is better. Their Pete's roasts are great. Pete's out of Berkeley. I think there's one in Seattle. There's one at the SeaTac airport here. But, Starbucks is a good fallback. And of course, everyone people aren't drinking those. It's like young people aren't drinking as much alcohol. They're not drinking as much of those $6, $5 lattes or, I think like a lot of chains, Starbucks lost their way with all these multi drinks and all these multi things, and they bought the Clover, which was actually a good drip coffee, the Clover machines in some of their cafes. But I am very upset that they're closing these two stores, these two flagship stores in Seattle. I think there's one in New York too. I don't know if that's going to be closed. They are scaling back, but come on, the image of your company. It is a tourist site. People come to Seattle. People still stand in line for the very first, even though it's not exactly, they kind of moved. The very first Seattle by Pike Place Market. There's a line, even though there's Starbucks 2 or 3 blocks away. There's a line for that Starbucks. The tourist one also. I'm sure the overhead, the rent, or the real estate, everything you need to take into consideration. But at some point, you need a loss leader. And for them to close that, so fuck you, Starbucks, for closing these stores, laying those people off without notifying them up front. So I'm upset. I'm upset. I'm going to order my Grafeo coffee in Seattle. Also, another great blend is Herkimer or Lighthouse. My friend Coffee Julie has her real fine coffee. She has three of them. In fact, one's not far from that Capitol Hill Starbucks, so maybe she'll get even more business now. I guess the locals go to her store on Pine there in Capitol Hill. So a shout out to Coffee Julie and Real Fine Coffee. They use Herkimer beans that are ground here that are roasted here, I should say, in the Phinney Ridge district. So go to a Real Fine Coffee. Again, I like the independent stores, but again, even some of the independent roasteries have shitty coffee as far as I'm concerned. And then, of course, you get that blue bottle that started in San Francisco that a lot of people liked. It's more of a light roast. It's kind of a creamier taste. And then, of course, it gets bought out by some big conglomerate food company, and they open everywhere. It's kind of like Phil's Coffee, that single drip origin. They have just do all drips, and that was great coffee in the Mission Street, 5 blocks from my house on Folsom Street, the original. Then they opened a few more, and then big VC corporation buys Phil's Coffee. And Phil's Coffee is good, but it's now a big corporation. The corporations buy this shit up and they fuck it up half the time. Now, I know Starbucks, like a lot of American companies, are going through growing pains or they've grown too fast. But why did you close this up? I hope make this video go viral. I want the Starbucks people to see this. You need to keep those flagship stores in Seattle open. That's a big part of it. And not just because my buddies and I, after Record Store Day, are going to go and hang out there. You need to keep that. That is a legacy, and that is a future legacy of the brand at the world headquarters. What a fucked up decision. As the CEO gets $100 million or something every year, you're laying off 900 jobs. Give me a fucking break. So that's it. I don't have any records to show. I like coffee. I like tea. I like the Java. It's a send me $5 and I'll stop singing. Mazzy loves you. I won't even be able to buy a double latte for that.